All right, let's jump into another deep dive. This time, we're going way back to the early days of OpenAI.
Oh, this is going to be juicy.
Yeah, remember that lawsuit with Elon Musk and Sam Altman? Well, a whole bunch of emails from like 2015 just became public.
No way. What's in them?
Basically, we get to see how OpenAI started, like what they were thinking, what they were worried about.
So we're talking about the birth of one of the biggest names in AI.
Exactly. And right away, you can tell this wasn't just about building cool tech.
It was about power, right? Who is going to control this incredibly powerful technology?
Exactly. So, picture this. 2015, Sam Altman sends this email to Elon Musk.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
He calls it a Manhattan Project for AI.
Whoa, that's a serious comparison.
Right. He's basically saying we need a massive collaborative effort to develop AI, but it has to be outside of Google's control.
That's fascinating because even back then, Google was already seen as the 800-pound gorilla in the AI space.
Totally. And Altman even lays out this whole governance structure with names like Musk and Bill Gates.
So he's thinking big from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, and he specifically says they need to prevent any single entity from dominating AI.
That's clearly aimed at Google.
Right. And you know what Musk's reply was?
Hit me.
Agree on all.
Wow, straight to the point.
That's Musk for you. But it wasn't all smooth sailing from there.
What do you mean?
Even getting the best AI researchers to join OpenAI was a challenge. DeepMind was their biggest rival at the time, and they were not playing around.
DeepMind, the folks who created AlphaGo, right?
Yep, those guys. They were like ninjas, going after the same talent that OpenAI wanted.
I've heard stories about DeepMind practically ambushing researchers at conferences trying to poach them.
Oh yeah, it was intense. The emails even show that Musk was making personal calls to convince people to join OpenAI instead.
So he was really invested in this.
Big time. And it makes you wonder, what did he see in OpenAI that was so compelling?
I think a big part of it was his fear of Google and DeepMind, especially their approach to AGI, artificial general intelligence.
AGI, that's the idea of an AI that's as smart as a human, or even smarter.
Exactly. And Musk kept bringing up this concern in the emails. He specifically called out DeepMind's one mind to rule the world philosophy, which honestly kind of sounds scary.
Yeah, like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right. And Musk was convinced that if OpenAI didn't get the best AI talent, they'd get crushed by DeepMind.
It was like this race against time to develop AI responsibly before someone else got there first.
A race with incredibly high stakes.
For sure. But building cutting-edge AI isn't cheap. The emails show that OpenAI was struggling to match the salaries offered by Google and other giants.
That's a classic dilemma, right? You want to do good in the world, but you also need to attract the best people.
Totally. And that's where things start to get really interesting because it leads them to explore some pretty radical funding ideas. But that's a story for part 2.
Oh man, you're killing me with the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So you left us hanging with OpenAI needing cash and exploring wild funding ideas.
Oh, yeah. Things are about to get wild. Remember, it's like 2018, everyone's buzzing about cryptocurrency.
Ah, the crypto craze. I bet that plays into this.
You bet it does. But first, OpenAI goes through this major identity crisis. They create a for-profit arm.
Wait, I thought they were a nonprofit. What's going on?
That was the whole point, right? To counter Google, not become them.
Right. So how does this for-profit thing even work?
It was called OpenAI LP. The idea was to attract big investors, offer employees real stock options, all that.
I see. So they could compete for talent and resources with the big guys?
Exactly. But the nonprofit part, OpenAI Inc., would still theoretically be in control, guiding the research and mission.
Theoretically. I feel like that word's doing a lot of work there.
Oh yeah, Musk saw the red flags immediately. Imagine trying to balance pure research with pleasing investors. Not easy.
And Musk, he was all about that pure humanity-first approach.
Exactly. There's even this email where Musk says the terms of the Microsoft Azure deal made him feel nauseous.
Microsoft, so they were already getting cozy with big tech.
Well, they needed massive computing power, and Azure was the best option.
I guess even idealists have to compromise sometimes.
True, but this was a huge compromise for Musk. He hated seeing OpenAI get entangled with corporations.
Especially one that could potentially become a competitor, right?
Exactly. And this is where things get really tense between Musk and the OpenAI leadership.
Things were already kind of tense, weren't they?
Oh yeah, but this is where it explodes. Musk wanted more control, even suggesting he should be CEO to keep things on track.
Whoa, that's a power move. But I guess you can't blame him. He was pouring money into this.
Right. But the other OpenAI leaders, particularly Ilya Sutskever and Brockman, They weren't having it.
These are the top AI researchers, right? The brains of the operation.
Yep, and they weren't afraid to speak their minds. They said this incredibly blunt email, basically saying Musk was trying to control everything.
That takes guts to stand up to someone like Elon Musk.
Seriously. They even compared his vision to DeepMind's potential for creating an AGI dictatorship. Can you imagine writing that to your main funder?
I would be sweating bullets. So how does Musk take this?
He doesn't take it well. He basically says, fine, either stick with the original nonprofit vision or go start your own thing. No more money from me unless you're fully committed.
Wow, ultimatum time. So what happens next?
You'd think everyone would just walk away at that point, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of tension to overcome.
Surprisingly, no. Sutskever and Brockman, they choose to stay with OpenAI as a nonprofit.
Seriously, they give up Musk's backing.
They do. And they even promised not to start their own competing AI company. It seems like they truly believed in OpenAI's original mission.
Wow, that's dedication. But they still need money, right? Google isn't getting any cheaper.
Exactly. So guess what comes back on the table?
Oh, no, don't tell me. The ICO.
Yep. Remember, it's 2018, crypto is booming. Selling digital tokens seems like the perfect solution to their funding woes.
But we know Musk hates ICOs. Didn't he call them scams or something?
He wasn't a fan, that's for sure. He saw them as too risky, too volatile.
And it wasn't just Musk. Some people inside OpenAI were worried too, especially those focused on AI safety.
Makes sense. Imagine some random person buying a ton of OpenAI tokens and then using that influence to push for something dangerous.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. So now they've got internal divisions, external pressures, and this huge existential question hanging over them.
Exactly. And that's when we get this incredibly insightful email from Andrei Karpathy.
Karpathy, didn't he end up heading AI at Tesla?
That's the one. At this time, he sends Musk this brutally honest assessment of OpenAI's chances.
Lay it on me.
He basically says OpenAI is doomed to fail against Google. They just can't compete with Google's resources.
Ouch, that's gotta sting. But is he right?
Well, he makes a strong case. Google could just wait for OpenAI to publish its research and then scoop it up, essentially getting a free ride.
That's a smart strategy if you're not worried about ethics.
Exactly. And Karpathy offers a couple of options. One is to drastically expand OpenAI, more funding, a stronger board.
And I bet he knows that's not gonna happen.
Nope. So what's his other option?
I think I can guess. Bring in Tesla.
Ding, ding, ding. Karpathy basically says Tesla's the only one who can even try to compete with Google in AI.
They've got the cash, the focus on both hardware and software, and self-driving is a potential goldmine.
Right. And Karpathy even suggests using Tesla's profits to fund AI research at a scale that could rival Google.
Wow, so this conversation kind of predicts the future, huh?
Totally. It foreshadows Musk's moves with Tesla's AI and his own company, XAI.
Like the seeds were planted right here in OpenAI's struggles.
For sure. But it also raises this huge question. Can anyone, even Tesla, really go toe-to-toe with Google in AI?
That's a question for the ages.
Right. But let's stick with the OpenAI story for now. Musk's out, the for-profit arm is launched, and the billions start rolling in. How does he react to all this?
I bet he wasn't thrilled.
He wasn't. Publicly, he started expressing concern about OpenAI's direction, saying it had become too closed off, too focused on making money.
So OpenAI, in name only.
Exactly. And you can bet that behind the scenes, his frustration was probably even stronger.
Which probably fueled his decision to start his own AI ventures.
It's like this epic Silicon Valley rivalry, but the stakes are unbelievably high.
The fate of AI, maybe even the fate of humanity itself.
Okay, so we've covered the birth of OpenAI, the power struggles, the ethical dilemmas, the money problems. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't really touched yet. The timeline to AGI.
Right, that's the big one. How close are we to creating an AI that's as smart as us or even smarter?
And these emails give us a glimpse into how the OpenAI team was thinking about that back in 2015.
I'm guessing their predictions were a bit different from what we're seeing today.
You bet they were. But those early predictions are fascinating because they reveal just how much uncertainty there was, even among the people building this technology.
Uncertainty is a good thing, right? It means they're not blindly charging ahead.
Totally. And remember those Dodo bots that were causing such a stir? Well, their rapid progress actually sparked a debate within OpenAI about whether they were getting too close to creating something truly revolutionary and potentially dangerous.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. Let's dive into those AGI predictions and see how they stack up against the reality of AI today.
Okay, so back to those Dodo bots. They were crushing it in practice, but did they ever actually play against, like, real pro gamer.
Oh, yeah, they did. In 2019, OpenAI put together this team of bots called OpenAI 5.
Creative name.
Right. They played a series of exhibition matches against some of the best Dota 2 players in the
Oh,
world.
don't leave me hanging.
Get this, OpenAI 5 actually won 2 out of 3 games.
No way, they beat actual pro gamers.
They did. It was a huge deal. People were blown away by how well these bots could strategize, coordinate, adapt their tactics, all in real time.
So they weren't just good, they were scary good.
Yeah, it was a real turning point. It felt like AI was suddenly capable of things we never thought possible.
But winning video games, that's one thing. Did anyone at OpenAI start to worry, like, hey, maybe we're creating something we can't control?
Oh, absolutely. There's this email from Greg Brockman in 2018 where he talks about the existential risk of AI. He's basically saying, if we create a machine that's smarter than us, things could go very wrong.
Right, like what happens if we give it the wrong instructions?
Exactly. And this fear, this idea that we might lose control of AI, it keeps coming up in these emails.
It's like a dark cloud hanging over OpenAI's early days.
Yeah, and it's a fear shared by a lot of people in the AI field, not just Elon Musk.
The difference is Musk was willing to walk away from OpenAI over it.
Right, he wasn't afraid to make a bold move if he thought the risks were too great.
So, looking back, were those early predictions about AGI accurate? Are we on the verge of having superintelligent AI walking among us?
That's a tough one. We've seen incredible progress, especially with those large language models like ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, that thing can write poems and code. It's pretty wild.
Right. But whether that's true intelligence or consciousness or whatever, that's a whole other debate.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky to think about.
It is. But even if we haven't reached AGI yet, the fact that we're having these conversations, that we're grappling with these ethical issues, shows just how far AI has come in a relatively short time.
And how much further it could go, for better or worse.
Exactly. These emails, they're a reminder that the future of AI isn't some predetermined thing. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the early days of OpenAI, what's the biggest takeaway for our listeners?
I think it's this. Developing AI isn't just about the technology, it's about us. Our values, our dreams, our fears. It's a human story as much as a technological one.
And a story that's still being written, right?
Absolutely. These emails offer an incredible glimpse into the minds of the people who were there at the beginning, and they remind us that the future of AI is ultimately up to all of us.
So if you're fascinated by AI, and frankly, who isn't these days, go find these emails online. Read them for yourself, form your own opinions, and join the conversation.
Because this is a conversation that's going to affect all of us sooner than we think.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll catch you on the next one.